The Stone Age is the period from the first human to the Bronze and Iron Ages. The Stone Age, called the prehistoric period, is the oldest age in the history of the Earth. In the findings belonging to the Stone Age periods, flint, horn and human bones were found. In addition, it was observed that tools such as knives, saws, axes and arrows were invented by carving stones in a period of time. The Stone Age consists of three intermediate periods: Old Stone Age, Kabatas, Paleolithic. The Paleolithic Age dates back to approximately 10,000 years before humans began to live on the Earth. This period of ice ages is also known as the longest period of world formation. At the beginning of this age, people first wandered around naked and lived in caves and tree cavities. They met their food needs by hunting and fishing. People began to draw pictures and figures of the animals they hunted in the caves. Human remains called Homo sapiens, known as primitive humans of this age, have been found. A few known Stone Age remains have been found in the Anatolian and Thrace regions. These remains, Yarımburgaz, Istanbul, Karain, Antalya, Beldebai, Belbasai, Kalatip and Dersunlu regions in Anatolia. Middle Stone Age, Paleolithic, Mesolithic. This period is a period in which some tools and materials were obtained by carving the stones. It is also known as the transition process. Sharp tools were made, used for protection from other people and wild animals, and these tools were used in hunting. In this period, people started to bury their dead for the first time. It is a time when the glaciers begin to melt. According to the findings obtained in archaeological excavations, dogs, which are the first domesticated animals, were first domesticated in this era and began to adapt to human life. Fire was found during this period. When we look at the remains of the Middle Stone Age, Antalya Beldebai Cave, Lakes Region Bardais, Samsun Teka village can be given as examples of these archaeological findings. Neolithic Age Neolithic. This age is the beginning period of human being to know the world and dominate nature. With the changing climatic conditions, there has been a great change and increase in the living population. When we examine the New Stone Age, more resistant animal and plant species have emerged in arid regions. It is a period in which the ecosystem is reshaped from head to toe. Many animal species such as barley, wheat, sheep, goats, and cattle emerged. Afterwards, with the start of agriculture, people settled down. The hunting life was abandoned and the first settlements were created. Societies that preferred to keep herds of animals have continued a nomadic life. People have gone from being a consumer to a producer. Animals such as sheep, goats and cattle were domesticated and food began to be obtained from them. The concept of private property was created and people started to plant many plants in their own gardens. The houses were first started to be built in the form of huts, and over time, a normal house type began to be created. Before the Neolithic Age, the dead were buried under or just below the area they lived in. However, cemeteries were built in the Polished Stone Age and the dead were buried in places far from residential areas. The first examples of mausoleums were found in the Menhir and Dolmen sarcophagi cemeteries during this period. In the Neolithic Age, people started to form communities and built walls around the areas they lived in. When we look at the relations between trade and production, it is seen that there is production in many areas and economic society efforts. The pots made of clay and earth were used by cooking on fire, and thus the art of ceramics began to develop. Their clothes were woven from plant fibers. The beginning of weaving daily clothes has also led to the development of weaving techniques. Agriculture was first discovered in the Crescent Zone in the Middle East. The emergence of trade, on the other hand, was first made by barter trade, a trade technique called barter. The aforementioned periods did not begin in equal time periods all over the world. More rapid progress was made in regions with more regular rivers and agricultural areas. The Middle East and Far East were the first settlements to transition into the polished Stone Age. The first production was made in Diyarbakir Kayonu and Gaziantep Gozu. Based on the archaeological remains found, it is known that the first settlement was Konya Katalhoyuk. Note, according to legend, people first consumed food raw. One day, while a woman was eating raw meat by the fire, she set all the meat in front of her on fire. The woman, who was very upset, took a piece of meat in the fire and liked the taste very much after eating it. After this event, people started to cook and eat food on fire.